Hi, everyone. Okay, the holidays are almost here, but hormones, they may have you down. So tonight, Dr. Maggie is here for you. She is going to answer your top burning hormone questions.
Okay, tons of questions have been submitted and we're ready to dig deep in. I can't wait to tell you what the top number one question is right after this. So here we go, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Transform Table Talk Live. We have a special hormone edition today with Dr. Maggie. And you really wanted to gift this to everybody, Dr. Maggie, because we are getting a lot of questions on a consistent basis about help with hormones.
Yes. And I'm going to tell you already what the first question we're going to be answering is going to be. I mean, I would say 1/3 of the questions submitted was about weight.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tell you, I'm going to be answering that first shortly. I promise you. Yeah. So the holidays are coming, and I think that it's important. I want to spend some time tonight just actually answering. We've had hundreds of questions over the last few weeks just around hormones between YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, as well as Facebook. And so, why not spend this week focused on educating you about hormones, all the resources around hormones, burning questions and answers, and also alert you on the big sale and bonus that's coming on my hormone masterclass currently already happening.
I
So,
love your Black Friday sales. Yes, it is in action right now. So, looking forward to hearing more about that. If you are watching live with us, please leave us a comment. Let us know where you're watching from and let us know what are you dealing with hormone wise and what questions do you have for Dr. Maggie to get help with your hormones or loved ones' hormones.
well, I already know, Anne, that a lot of people are watching who are previous alumni of my hormone masterclass.
Okay.
Thousands of people have taken my hormone masterclass. There's also thousands of people who've been through Transform the Main program. So I would invite anybody who's an alumni of any of our programs to comment in chat and tell people what hormone symptoms you had, that you're struggling with, and where you're now. Just share with others. And this is part of the community and sharing, because a lot of times people feel like that their hormone problems are like just their own, that there's some, they're
alone and they're the only one that's dealing with it. And that's just not the case.
well, I felt that way, and I know you felt that way.
Yeah.
And about 6 months ago, I did a My Hormone story of just how hormonal shifts in my health really was the wrecking ball that actually started a whole lot of other health declines. And if you guys didn't see my hormone story, you could type Dr. Maggie's hormone story in chat, and a member of our team can reach out to you and share the links to that, my story around it. But really, my own health journey started with hormonal hell and havoc. I went into early menopause at the age of 36. And that triggered the onset and me finding out later that I had autoimmune diseases with Hashimoto's, mixed connective tissue disorder, fibromyalgia, neuropathy, TMJ, chronic pain, irritable bowel syndrome, worsening food allergies, all because of a lot of hormonal shifts that happened. And you think 36 is early for hormonal shift, but it even started actually after the birth of my daughter when I was 30 years old, and my son when I was 30 years old. So really, there was 6 years where it was already brewing and ongoing, but it started with postpartum delivery of my first child. So these are really hormonally sensitive times. And when I went through this, there was nobody talking about hormones and its link with other health symptoms.
Nobody talking about it. So not only then do you feel alone, but you feel like you can't get help from the conventional medical world because they can't make those connections. They were not trained in this in school. So you had to go and train yourself to become an expert in this field. And thankfully you did, and you were able to help yourself, because then you've been able to help, I don't know, hundreds of thousands. It feels like other people, these tens of thousands of people.
But Anne, there's nothing like, I mean, it's interesting. I think that there's something to be said, and I'm going to ask how many people in the audience think about the statement and reflect on it to see if it's true for you, which is, I think we become the greatest teachers in our area of greatest suffering. And think about in your own life for yourself, everybody in the audience. I mean, do you think that's true? And you become the expert in something because that's the area where you suffer the most, you've learned the most, you've implemented the most, and you've seen the most results, real life boots on the ground results. So you become the best teacher for that. So I will tell you that this happened for me so that I've been able to really learn a ton to actually turn this around for me. But I love to teach. And so I love, love, love. I mean, I was talking today with someone and I said the favorite part of what I do is I don't feel like I'm working every day in the sense that every time I'm teaching and I'm talking to people about these health topics, connecting hormones. And, we recently had a workshop where I connected somebody's digestive issue and their gallbladder surgery with every other symptom that was going on with their health, every single symptom, like full circle. I loved it. Like to me, that was just playing. And so when you play in your zone of genius, I don't feel like you're working. And so when I'm teaching, I'm not working. When I'm connecting, I'm not working. So I love doing this. And you guys in the audience, there's so many comments coming in. And I see Kathy, former graduate of my Hormone Masterclass. Jill just signed up for my Hormone Masterclass and can't wait to get in. Jill, I can't wait to work with you. Sheila's an alumni and she says she started out pretty much flatline. So already people are talking about the data that they have received when they went through my Hormone Masterclass and where they are now. So I'm excited for all the people that are here in our audience right now. And I would love for you guys to start popping in your questions. If you have any questions, burning questions around your hormones, around even symptoms you've been told are not related to your hormones, especially that, or you're completely baffled by these health symptoms, type it in chat because I'm a connections. I love making connections. Not only do I enjoy making connections with people, but I like making connections with all these different health symptoms in a way that's super simple and clear. And it becomes almost obvious, after you see it. I mean,
you're a super connector. It's almost like you have this superpower that you're able to see these connections where others can't.
Yes, I see patterns.
Patterns.
I have a sixth sense. I'm like, I see patterns. This reminded me, Anne, on the workshop we did last time. Samantha was on, and she was talking about she is currently in my Hormone Masterclass with me, and I've reviewed and have reviewed her hormones and have worked with her several times already. And she was talking about how connecting her hormones with her mast cell, with her histamine tolerance, irritable bowel, and some of her other health symptoms was like the game changer for her. And so I walked through how all of that was connected in the workshop that I recently did. And I don't know how many of you guys, there were hundreds of you guys in the live workshop. And I don't know how many of you guys have you guys watched the replay? If you're interested in watching the connections in Samantha's case, type in chat, Samantha's case study in the workshop, and I will have my team tag you because we did do a replay of that recently.
Yeah, because people are wanting to hear more about these connections. It's like you mentioned how gallbladder issues could be connected to hormones and can be connected to so many other things. Ashley saying, oh, that's interesting to her because obviously she might be dealing with that or somebody she knows might be dealing with that.
Why don't we start with Ashley then as the first question? How about we start with that?
Okay, Ashley wants to know, is there a connection between hormones and gallbladder?
100%. And I'm going to do the abbreviated version because if you want the whole version, I did it in the workshop. And that was I did it elaborate. I pulled out all the steps. This too long don't read version is that there's actually a hormonal connection. So when people have their gallbladder removed or they have problem digesting fat, that is a genetic issue that some people are very predisposed to. However, this problem with fat, and people then get their gallbladder removed when the underlying issue is poor fat digestion. They get a surgery to remove the gallbladder, which then removes the organ that's responsible for most of the fat digestion. And the surgeon says, good, you're fine, but the underlying fat digestion problem never gets dealt with. And here's the problem. If you don't digest or absorb fat, you can't make or break down and balance your hormones. So, yeah.
Okay, let's say that one more time because your doctor who is removing that organ from you is not telling you this information, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're taking your gallbladder out and they're not letting you know that once I remove this organ and you can't break down fat, now we're going to have a problem making hormones.
So here's the backtrack of that even more. I like to even backtrack it even more, which is the reason this person had to have the gallbladder removed in the first place is because they can't digest fat. And that problem was never addressed. So as a result of it, their gallbladder gets into problems with stones and infection, and it gets all clogged up, infected, inflamed, scarred. Then it has to eventually get removed. But the first issue is poor fat digestion. So the problem already pre-existed the gallbladder surgery, but the gallbladder surgery removal made it worse. And then now they can't absorb that fat. When you can't absorb healthy fats like omega-3s, you can't make hormones well. Just so you guys know, healthy fats is the base molecule with which you make hormones. So Sheila was talking about here, yes, I was reading your comments, Sheila, that she started out flatline. I mean, I remember working with Sheila, like, I don't know, when was it 3-4 years ago, Sheila? But she says she started out pretty much flatline was what she said. And the reason so many people are flatline their hormones at a time that's inappropriately young, I'm serious. Because I mean, I just reviewed somebody's hormones who was, I think she was 38 and she had hormones of like literally an 86-year-old.
Unacceptable. And it doesn't have to be that way. And
But
that person probably tried to get help from multiple doctors and got nowhere.
But that's a digestion problem that nobody addressed that became a hormonal health problem.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm telling you guys, if nothing else, if you want to watch your workshop. But I will say, if nothing else, the key takeaway here is poor digestion means poor hormone production. So if there's nothing else, I would say take a product like Digested, which is a multiphasic digestive enzyme that helps you have enough stomach acid, pancreatic enzymes, and digest and absorb fat, which is critically needed for what? Hormone production.
Hormone production. Yeah.
Hormone production. Right. So
That's
there's
what I was asking. What do you suggest for somebody who had their gallbladder removed and you're saying take this digestive support?
Yeah. And actually, I'll have people comment in the chat. Any alumni or anybody that's used Digested or that has, had fat digestion problem or any digestion problem, what has been the immediate result, right? It's one of those that becomes, and actually, I'll say that you didn't even need to have your gallbladder removed. Had someone your physician or physicians have learned about digestion and offered to diagnose this problem for you based on your symptoms, it would have been easy to already diagnose that you had poor fat digestion and absorption. If someone had started you on Digested 10 years before your gallbladder removed, you never would have had it removed. But if you've had it removed, it's okay. Okay. You can still support your fat digestion using Digested, 1 with small meals, 2 with big meals. I'm just putting that out there. Easy answer there, right? This is just green medicine supplementation for a genetic broken problem in the first place, right? If you lack that step in digestion, can you just take a supplement to solve that problem? That is an easy solution, but it doesn't get applied early enough for a lot of people, and it's never too late. So the other thing is in the MYMD supplement store right now, we'll put a link to it. There is a Black Friday, 8 days of Black Friday week, and there are deals every single day.
I'm excited. I took a big time advantage of it last year. So get ready, be following these deals because
every day is a different deal. I'm just going to tell you, based on the topic tonight, you're going to want to know what tomorrow's deal is. That's all I'm going to say. Hint, hint. Okay. So we're going to provide the link over here for you. So that's just the digestion question. If you
are getting a lot of feedback, by the way, about how great Digested is, people saying Lisa took it and was saying, and there's Sheila, made such a huge difference. And Lisa was saying the same thing, that she blew her mind to find out that her low hormones were actually a digestive issue.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons why some people don't make hormones, just so you know. And then Wanda, hello, Wanda. I just thought I was stuck with issues with fat after having gallbladder out. Digested changed that totally. And Wanda's on her way to also balancing her hormones. Which is the other thing is that, what I have found through testing thousands of people's hormones over the last 27 years of my career, is that there are certain health problems that's associated with certain health patterns. Okay. And so if people have a poor fat digestion problem, they'll eventually end up having a pattern I call low everything, which your doctors don't diagnose and they ignore. I'm just telling you right now, they don't know how to diagnose it. So
and
that's
you're able to see that. I can tell when you see somebody has that low everything pattern, you'll ask them some other questions like, hey, do you have problems with A, B, and C also? And they're like, how did you know that? Like,
and I tell people I'm not like a medical savant or something. And it's not like I'm feeling your hormone pattern aura, but I do know patterns. Yeah. So I teach in my Hormone Masterclass these pattern recognition for you that they know nothing about. So that's the cool thing about it. It's like once you start to see it, you can't unsee it. And there is a system and there's a way to recognize these patterns for yourself, right? And so I'm not just another practitioner who says, here's your pattern. I'm not going to teach you anything about it. And here's what you take for now while your hormones continue to change for the rest of your life. And then what? You need me for the rest of your life every 5 seconds to troubleshoot this problem. I'm here to teach you how to understand the test, get the right testing, understand those test results, how to troubleshoot through those results and see these patterns yourself. And that's the biggest thing. How many of you guys who've been through the My Hormone Masterclass or the Transform program have learned to see these patterns? And now you just like, you see those results and you're like, boom, 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 right?
It's true. Yes, 100%. I can attest to that. And
Right.
you're also, you're not only helping yourself, but in some cases you're helping your loved ones and your family members who might be going through and getting medical help or not getting medical help from the conventional world. And so you're able to help them because you have this such knowledge that you attain in the program.
But you can gain that knowledge. That's the thing is, I'm not a special purveyor and withholder of this special knowledge. I want you to have that knowledge and you need to have that knowledge. So this is an opportunity for people to become knowledge is really important, yet knowledge itself is not the answer. Okay. You can get a lot of random pieces of knowledge and still doesn't know what the hell to do with it. Knowledge with learning how to discern that knowledge into actionable steps with actual quick noticeable results is where the power lays. And that's what we do in our programs. And so, yeah, Doris is saying instantly she noticed, a difference. Thank you. And Doris, here's Supermom Doris here. She did our program for her daughter, but ended up learning a ton about her own hormones and changing her own life with this. So Doris, I mean, here's kudos to this, which is there's a generational impact, meaning that you're not just learning this knowledge to troubleshoot your own hormones. I will tell you that when you do this for yourself, you are what I call a filter generation. You're helping 3 generations. The generation above you is a hormonal hell or a health symptom hell, right? There's symptom, the generation you're in, but also your children. So at least 3 generations get impacted.
And speaking of that, I actually did an interview with somebody yesterday who went through your Hormone Masterclass, and she has been able to impact so many people in her life, her siblings, herself, her mother-in-law, and
okay, I think I know who you're talking about.
You already know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Chris. Yeah, that's who you're thinking. And she's been able to help so many people in her life. And she got emotional with me when talking about helping your child, right? Because there's just nothing, as a parent, you want to do whatever you can. Go ahead.
I think Chris's case is really interesting because, in identifying her hormone patterns, we were able then to uncover other health issues that she had, which genetically will link your child to you. Your child had 50% chance of inheriting your genes. So what I found in certain types of patterns, hormonal patterns, for example, my hormone pattern, okay, mic drop, take this down as notes, okay? So I'm a woman who had autoimmune issues, and it's an autoimmune attack against my thyroid. And so your thyroid is a hormone-making organ. So when you have an autoimmune disease attack against it, it means my immune system, which is supposed to fight germs, looks at my thyroid and says, you're a germ and I'm going to kill you, right? So people think, oh, it's just your thyroid. But the thing is, your thyroid is a hormone-making cell. It looks a certain way. And what cells look identical to those hormone-making cells of your thyroid is my ovaries, right? My adrenals, my pancreas, these other cells that make hormones look very similar to thyroid. So it's not just a thyroid problem. The autoimmune attack against my thyroid was also attacking my ovaries, causing my hormones to shut down, to be low everything. So then let's say I'm seeing a 36-year-old with low everything. That's completely inappropriate for a 36-year-old. One of the questions I'm going to be asking is, do you have a child who has autism spectrum, ADD, ADHD, irritable bowel syndrome, any autoimmune disease of any kind? Because why do I ask that is that inappropriate low everything in the hormones is very common in women and men with autoimmunity, like a man with Hashimoto's, right? There's no reason, a man should have really low testosterone, for example, at the age of 36 either, unless, right, there's some
Mhm.
sort of autoimmune attack going on with him, right? So whether you're a man or woman, these concepts apply, which is that when you have a pattern that doesn't belong to you, that doesn't belong, and it's totally inappropriate for your age group, it is like ding, 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 ding. There's an autoimmune issue going on, whether you're a man or woman. And so it's fun actually for me to help identify this in people as early as possible. And then also once you identify, oh my gosh, maybe I have an autoimmune issue going on, or this other disease or this other diagnosis going on, well, then it shines a light on your kid, because then there are links with certain autoimmune conditions, with spectrum disorders in children. And spectrum disorders in children are really important to link with autoimmune issues, hormone issues, and digestion issues. So Chris is not able just to help her. She's going to help the generation below her, depending on what issues are affecting her children. And with kids, things can rebound so quickly that it's startling.
It did. I don't know if you're aware of this. So she did. She has 2 children who are special needs, and she has a 3rd child as well. But 2 of her children are special needs. One has autism and one has PANS, and was dealing with a lot of issues, neurological tics and things like that. And this child was having a hard time with letter recognition. Okay. Couldn't recognize some letters. And within implementing some of the things that she learned in your program,
Mhm.
within 3 months,
Yeah.
the child is reading. Reading. I mean, chills when she sent me the video of her
Yeah.
son reading. I
Yeah.
mean, as a mom, she just couldn't believe it, that some of the
Yeah.
simple changes that she was able to make based on what she learned
Yeah.
in my Hormone Masterclass and the Transform program as well, totally has changed her son's life.
And when you look at some of these root causes of these hormone problems, like blood sugar, digestion, you know, food reactions, liver issues, vitamin deficiencies. When you start looking at some of these underlying causes, those are the very same things that cause things in children like spectrum disorders, right?
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be spectrum disorders. I mean, we deal with kids of all ages dealing with, it could be autoimmune diseases, it could be irritable bowel syndrome, allergies. I don't know how many kids we've dealt with extreme allergies like mast cell, histamine intolerance.
Wow.
And what I'm seeing an epidemic of is teenagers and young adults dealing with things like POTS, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, dysautonomia. These are disorders where the nervous system actually is so imbalanced that there is blood pressure swings, dizziness, fainting, chronic fatigue. That's debilitating, right? And I will tell you right now, when I say the underlying causes of these hormone problems are identical to the problems of these complex to diagnose or solve mystery diseases, I'm not kidding you, because I remember just looking at Leah's hormones. We were just, and a lot of people are in the program right now, and I remember looking at Leah's hormones, and without even knowing a diagnosis of a person, okay, we'll look at hormones with somebody and troubleshoot. And I remember just saying, I bet your top symptoms, if I see a hormone pattern like this, I would see, these are the diagnoses I would see. These are the top hormone symptoms. Check, and anybody listening, check box. And without fail, I'm pretty much like 99% spot on, because these patterns are linked with other health symptoms in us and in our children. And when we learn to fix this in ourselves, oh my God, holy hell, you can learn to fix this in your children, and it turns around even faster for them.
Yeah, right. Because you're able to catch it so much quicker. I love that. And getting back to Chris in her case, she was dealing with, as you mentioned off the top, weight. And weight was a big problem.
Oh, we have like a third of our questions around weight.
Yeah, so let's address it, because I know Chris, she had a 75-pound weight gain and was diagnosed as hypothyroid. We have Sheila, who's talking about weight being a big issue. Tina, Kathy Ann, Jewel, and Catherine all talking about their weight and how it relates to their hormones. So what's the connection there, Dr. Maggie?
So big thing, I think when we're going to holidays, a lot of people are thinking about weight. And I could have done this entire live all around weight. And I want you guys to write in chat if you have struggled with trying to lose weight, Or maybe the problem is the opposite. You have trouble gaining weight. I mean, there's people on both sides of this issue. And what I'm going to tell you is going to be really important, which is absolutely at least 50%, if not more, of what's going on with your weight has to do with the hormone pattern that you're in, period. Okay. The hormone pattern that you're in, that the doctors have no way of testing or diagnosing properly. Okay. These are the patterns I teach. Okay. Has everything to do with why you can't lose weight or why you can't gain weight. And Jill just said that her weight has been an issue since grade school. Yes. And I'll tell you right now, the grade school timing is really important. It's right around puberty when we start to see these big hormone shifts and patterns start to emerge. Pre-puberty, hormones are pretty much low. And then we hit puberty and then our hormone making and breakdown starts to happen, right? And so this is when weight issues can really start. And so what are some of these patterns associated with weight? That's what I teach, because there's several patterns that could be linked to it. One of the patterns is what we call estrogen dominance. Okay. Estrogen dominance is a problem where you make the estrogen, but you can't break it down. Either you make too much or your breakdown processes suck. And it could be either problem or both. And that can be clearly diagnosed and treatable in you.
So treatable. And that's so refreshing to hear, because for people who are dealing with this, so often they feel like there is no help. Their doctor doesn't know what to do. And even if they did know what to do, maybe they're treating them incorrectly and making the problem worse. But you're saying there is an answer.
I don't know how many people with estrogen dominance have had their hormones not tested. I don't know how many of you had problems not being able to get your hormones tested. Number one, I cannot count the times. And those of you in the program right now, you can type in chat if you've been seeing this too, because I've just reviewed 2 hormones like this week with the folks in the class. But number one is that I don't know how many people with estrogen dominance can't get their hormones tested because their doctor says you don't need to have your hormones tested, right? But what they don't realize is the doctors don't know how to test their hormones. And the other thing is, how many people with estrogen dominance had their hormones tested and were told it's normal? Or number 3, how many people had estrogen dominance but were told they had low estrogen and needed to take additional estrogen?
Gosh, right? Okay, and as you're talking about testing, that brings us to a question from Kay too, who's saying, what is the best way to test hormones?
Yeah, that's a really good question. How many of you guys, I want to just take a vote in here and then in chat. If you're watching this, what do you think is the best way to test hormones? Type it in chat. I want to take a poll right now. Do you think it's blood? Do you think it's saliva? Do you think it's urine? Do you think it's muscle testing? Do you think it doesn't need to be tested and you could treat by symptoms?
Well, we have an alumni chiming in.
Doris thinks saliva. Okay. Or, and you can even write down what you've been told. I would love for you to write down what you've been told and write, have been told this. So alumni are all jumping in. Paula says no idea. Thank you. Thank you for being honest, Paula. Paula says no idea, because I will tell you right now, 99% of your doctors also have no idea. So Paula, you're just as smart as all your doctors. Thank you for all the alumni jumping in. Kim thinks urine, right? Someone thinks Dutch or saliva. So that's urine or saliva. So no one says blood. That's interesting, right? No one says blood.
The way that we so typically get tested. That was the way that I was tested for my hormones over and over and over again until I found you, Dr. Maggie.
Well, what were you told? So here's the cool thing. You're a living example. I don't remember your answer to this. So surprise us all. I'm curious. You said your hormones were tested by blood. What did they tell you about your levels?
First of all, my doctor told me almost nothing. They didn't come back in range, but they said, it's probably not a big deal. And we don't they were testing me for almost no reason. It was, what were they going to do with those results? Because they had no idea what to do with those results. I know. And they were testing things like hormone binding sex globulin. What is that called? And that was coming back whack.
Sex hormone binding globulin.
Yeah. And it was like, I didn't know what it meant. And I don't think my doctor knew what it meant. So it felt like a very pointless exercise to have my hormones tested in that way. I had my hormones tested, of course, through my fertility treatments and things like that as well, to make sure, to see, basic things like, did they think I was going into early menopause or anything like that?
Yeah.
And sure enough, sometimes that stuff came back abnormal as well. But what was ever done about it? Nothing.
But I think I really respect your functional med doctor. I mean, that's a piece of your story I really recall is that you're functional. A lot of people think I'm going to see a naturopath or functional medicine doctor, then they must know and they must be the expert about hormone balancing.
Yeah.
But I'm here to tell you that most functional medicine doctor and naturopaths are not the experts on hormones because it is absolutely it's a lot of years of training expertise, but also for me, I love the fact that I have the medical MD background and training and experience with it, with all the training in dealing with hormones naturally as well. The combination of two is unique, and I do believe that delivers a unique perspective and training in this. But your functional doc said, I don't know that much about it. You need to go find, I want to refer you to somebody else who may know more about it than me.
That's exactly what happened. And it's like Doris is saying here, you want even find another functional doctor that has mastered hormones like Dr. Maggie. And that's so true because my functional doctor, who is well versed in many things and has helped me in many different ways, was never able to crack what was going on with my hormones and said to me,
Yeah.
I'm an expert in this. We have to find you someone who is. And that's how I found you.
Yeah.
So thankful for that. And everybody that's found you, it feels the same way. I mean, Sheila's saying right on, Doris, because she agrees wholeheartedly. Yeah, you're the first person that was able to reveal my pattern that I had never heard from anyone else.
So I've actually done a series of trainings around just how to even test hormones. I have on my YouTube channel. And someone will put a link to this live from the YouTube channel in the chat. But if you do go ahead to my YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel, and you can search the resource library there. I have probably done about 200 different trainings around hormones and this very question. So is blood worthless? Well, I'm going to tell you guys something important here about what is the best way to test for hormones. They all can be. I think that blood is less reliable than saliva or urine. Okay. But I'm going to tell you that they all can be helpful in one way or another, but they also could be some of them can be inaccurate. So number one, the reason why blood testing can be inaccurate is because, well, the doctors ordering a lot of times don't even know the right timing to test the hormones. And number two, it's not necessarily what we call free active hormones. So people may have a total amount of that hormone, that's fine. But really what I'm interested in is more, what is the free active hormone that's doing good or damage? So that's one of the problems, number one, with blood testing. Number two is it's not just about your sex hormones. Whether you're a man or woman, you can't just test your sex hormones, which would be your estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. They're intimately linked with your adrenal hormones. Mm-hmm. So adrenals and sex hormones have to go hand in hand. That's why both are totally thoroughly covered, and the relationship between the two in my hormone masterclass. This is critical. And regular doctors have zero training on adrenals. Okay. So if you just take half the data and you just look at the ovarian hormones, they're not even the free hormones, and it's a blood test, and you don't have this piece, you're missing half the puzzle. And so how could that be helpful? So that's the problem with blood testing, and the practitioners who order blood is that you can't use blood testing to accurately test and diagnose adrenal patterns at all. Mm-hmm. So therefore, I say blood test, out of the way, right?
What about it?
That leaves saliva and urine, right? Which somebody had said in here really accurately. They said saliva and urine can be accurate hormone testing. Yeah, they both can be. I prefer saliva, and that's why we use it in my hormone masterclass and in our programs. And the reason I prefer saliva is because it does sex hormones and adrenal hormones. Number one, that's the panel that's in my hormone masterclass. Number two, the reports are really easy to understand. It's really easy for me to teach from, and it's really easy for you to understand. I'm all about teaching and what's understandable by you. So I love looking at saliva hormone results that measures both and teaching from it. And I think and I'm going to ask people who've learned from me how to understand the saliva hormone results. How was that training? What is your ability now to look at someone's adrenal and saliva hormone panel and be like, wow, I know what's going on with that. And
Yeah.
I know what's causing it, right?
know.
I think it's a great teaching tool.
And look
And
at
so,
how super smart Jill is, even thinking about this. Is there a specific time of day to test?
hell yeah,
What a
exactly.
great question too, because your doctor might not even be thinking about that, but
They're
Jill
not.
is, and she's right.
You're right. That's the most important thing. If nothing else you get from tonight's live is if you think your symptoms are related with hormones, you're right. You're just right. I'm just going to let you that. However, they're not here to save you, not because they're not nice and they're not good doctors, but they don't have any training around that.
Right.
That's why I'm more interested in teaching you how to understand this. So saliva, I think it's a wonderful way to test hormones, which is why we carry test kits in our store. It's also included in my hormone masterclass because you got to learn what to do with that, right? Don't just hormone testing doesn't mean hormone mastery. So I love to teach you how to actually master this, right?
And to
Now,
answer the question, you are getting tested during different times of the day.
yes, you need it. You need to. And that's what I mean by these adrenal hormone patterns. How these curves look throughout the day is part of the pattern recognition, right? And then why urine? Why do I not like urine? I do like urine testing. I don't use it. And the reason is that, and I've worked with the company that does provide urine testing, and urine testing can be really great. And you can also get it serial throughout the day. But the problem is it tests so many things and it's so confusing because there's so much data involved. I promise you, I have practitioners who are running these urine tests who don't fully understand these reports. I promise you, because I've seen them. I've seen them call asking for help. And I've been part of like training providers to understand these results. And the urine test is very difficult, even for providers to learn how to understand. Therefore, how do they actually interpret and understand and teach you or share with you what's going on with it? And then if you're trying to get that test yourself, you're not going to be able to make tails or heads or tails out of it because it's a very, very complicated report to understand. It is accurate. It's a good test. And you can test both ovarians and adrenal hormones with it. But I find it's not a good teaching tool for doctors or for patients. That's my only beef against it. And it tests for a lot of things. And in a way, too many things. Too much can be overwhelming. And that's why I don't do urine. I really like doing saliva hormone testing.
We kind of got really excited and I think might have gone a little bit off on I don't know if we wrapped up our conversation about the weight, and I just wanted to make sure that I gave you the opportunity to say anything else that you wanted to say about weight because there were so many questions about it.
Okay.
Premenopausal weight gain.
I'm going to do 3 things around the weight. Get ready to write it down, okay? The most common pattern associated with weight gain and the inability to lose weight is estrogen dominance. Write that down, number 1. Okay. But number 2, you have to accurately be able to diagnose estrogen dominance. And there's a lot of intricacies. And literally, even if someone gets a saliva hormone pattern, they are misdiagnosed as not having it a lot of times. Okay. And particularly, you can have low estrogen and still be estrogen dominant. So this is, I know you're like, what is she talking about? But these are the intricate things I love to teach people on how to do that. So that's number 1, estrogen dominance is a huge problem. Number 2 is that the other issue with weight is that when you have ovarian hormones out of whack, so I call it like a golden triangle. I think about there are like 3 major hormone making organs in your body. So that affects metabolism. Well, there's more than that, but 3 main ones. So one is your thyroid, one is your ovaries, and one's your adrenals. Think of these 3 ends of a triangle. It only takes one of these legs. Think of it as like a triangle table with 3 legs. If one leg is out, it's really the rest of that table is really unstable. So just think about it. How many of you guys have thyroid problems, right? Yeah. If you have a thyroid problem, I can tell you right now, most of you guys don't have your thyroid in good control because, again, a lot of provider training, testing problems, understanding around it. So if you just have low thyroid, even one leg of the table is out, right? But what if, you have one of these patterns of hormone imbalance along with a thyroid problem, and how many people have adrenal fatigue out there, right? Have you been told you have stage 1, stage 2, stage 3 adrenal fatigue? Yes, there are stages.
Or maybe you tried to find that information out, but your provider has kind of blown it off because they don't think it's a real thing.
Right? Definitely. So what you're finding is that if any of the golden triangle that I'm talking about is out of balance, it can drag this whole table down. So that is the problem is with the weight. Typically what I see is there's a disruption in one or multiple of these hormone making and breakdown systems. So it's not your fault that you look at grass and you still gain weight.
Yeah.
Those of you who are in that boat, type in chat, eat grass, still gain weight, okay? Or done with grass, all right? I will tell you universally, when I review results and you've learned these patterns, universally, we identify a hormone pattern that's responsible for that. So it's not your fault, it's your hormones, okay? Is the second point that I'm gonna make, okay? And then the third point that I'm gonna make is just how much blood sugar fluctuations is tied hand in hand with these hormone patterns. So I'm going to tell you guys something. Notice that this inability to lose weight or gain weight came after or during a period of time when your hormones are really changing. So how many of this happen certain times of the month up and down? How many people is postpartum? After you deliver a child, you just can't lose the weight, right? How many of you has to do with perimenopause, right? Or right after postmenopause? How many of you after a hysterectomy was like, oh, that would solve all my hormone woes. But then you have the hysterectomy and boom, you gain 30 pounds. These are times or surgical procedures that cause a lot of hormone havoc. And it's during these times that these changes in hormones affect how our blood sugar swings. And so what you find is people who have gained a lot of weight, they have this big problem where their blood sugar, the high blood sugar, is swinging low and high a lot. And these swings will drive the sugar. To turn sugar from high to low means that sugar has to be turned into fat, glycogen and fat, and it gets stored. So we become a fat making and storing machine when our hormones are out of balance. So there's a huge link between your blood sugar fluctuations and your hormone swings and weight. We become a fat making machine when we have big hormone shifts and big blood sugar shifts. So it's the damn blood sugar, right? And so I know somebody asked something about supplementation in some of these questions, but like Balancer, for example. So why does Balancer is like a really popular formula is because it's associated with, when people notice that they have those blood sugar swings, like insomnia in the middle of the night, hot flashes. Somebody had asked a question about hot flashes here. One of the biggest reasons why people have hot flashes is because that blood sugar is going from high to low. So not only do we have to work on the understanding and learning this and how we can make lifestyle and diet changes to make sure our blood sugar is stable, but there is supplementation that can be really helpful to balance blood sugar, like Balancer in the morning, Relaxer at night. That combo is like this crazy, incredible combo for people to balance their hormones. So
you threw that out there really fast. I just want to make sure that point was sent home. Blood sugar balancing can resolve hot flashes.
90% of the time.
Okay, because I know it's something that plagues so many women, and they feel like there's just no solution. So not only can you work on balancing your blood sugar diet-wise, but there's also supplementation that can additionally help with that.
100%. So my big point is these are totally easy solvable problems, but what it requires is a system. You just need a system. There's a system here that you can do this. Number one, you got to accurately get your hormones tested. Number one. Number two, you need to learn what those patterns are so you can look at it and be like, oh, it's this pattern. Because nobody else knows those patterns. Nobody else knows those patterns. Trust me, we've had providers go through our program. Okay. Many, including functional medicine docs, who said, I've never received this training ever. You are receiving training that even functional doctors never learned. Yeah. So number one, you got to test your hormones. Number two, you can learn those patterns. And number three, once you see those patterns, you can't ever unsee them. And you're going to be like, oh my gosh, you become the genius. You become the hero. You're going to know, oh my gosh, this is a blood sugar thing. So when you test your 18-year-old daughter's hormones, you can be like, I know what to do. And so this is how, like, this is a system that works, but it doesn't exist in clinical medicine. You can't go hire 10 other providers and get this. You just can't, because they don't know how to do the testing. They are not educated themselves on these patterns. They don't have the platform, the time, and the patience, or the live review sessions, or the modules to teach you that. And then number three is, they have no training in lifestyle or all the herbal medicine that you're going to be learning. So there are herbs that are way more effective than throwing somebody, let's say, on some hormones. And I just saw a comment here. Somebody was like prescribed all this estrogen. And I can tell you, in the live workshop I did, I shared an actual result of someone who had a hysterectomy and was taking hormones, was told her hormones was fine. And I'm not kidding you, in that result review, the estrogen level that this woman had in her bloodstream was equivalent to the amount of estrogen we would give a 1,000-pound cow.
Wow. That's scary. I mean, that's scary. And then are they retesting to see?
No. Like in her case, I'm trying to remember that case, but I think they gave her the hormones and they just told her she was fine. And I don't think they retested her. But at the same time, just as often, I'll see the hormones retested and they're told it's fine. And I'm sitting here and I'm looking at the saliva hormone results, which are the free hormones that weren't done. And I'm like, this is equivalent to the level that I would be prescribing or giving to a cow. That's 1,000 pounds heifer.
Scary.
And this is the common practice of what we call hormone therapy out there by doctors prescribing hormones, whether they're regular medical doctors, functional, or naturopath. There's a problem. Prescribing hormones, taking prescribed natural hormones doesn't necessarily mean that your hormones are balanced. And in fact, sometimes the sickest people I see are the ones that are taking hormones and being told it's fine, and it's a good dose.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Right?
okay. And when you're talking about stuff like that, we do have a question about taking progesterone yam cream.
Yeah.
And Tammy wants to know, will something like that help? She's menopausal.
Yeah. So when you're thinking about taking progesterone yam cream, it's the same question as, should I take bioidentical or natural progesterone? Right? And the answer is, it depends on your data and your pattern. Sometimes that's what people really need. And in the program, I'm not against hormones. Okay. I'm not against some people needing to take hormones. What if you're low everything and you actually can't make it and you need help? Yeah, some people really do need it, but you can't and you shouldn't ask someone, is progesterone cream just good for me? Should I take it? Because you need your data.
Yeah.
You need to know if it's right for you. And the funny thing is, right before, I saw a comment where someone said, I was prescribed progesterone, I was taking it. I don't know how many hormone reviews I've done where someone's taking progesterone because they were told their progesterone is low. And the doctor doesn't realize that progesterone turns into other hormones. And then as a result, without further testing, realized that turned it into another hormone imbalance pattern where it can cause these crazy elevations in testosterone if it's not monitored properly in someone who has genetics for that. Right? Yeah. So it can be, and I talk about hormone therapy, and we work with people who are taking hormones, men or women who are taking hormones. We work with people who aren't making hormones and need to be on hormones. There are answers that are here for every single one of these individuals with this system of testing, learning, troubleshooting live, and implementing. So I recommend progesterone all the time for individuals who need it. I recommend estrogen sometimes for people who need it. And so hormone therapy is something I discuss. And I'm a hormone specialist. I started as a hormone specialist. My foray into natural and functional medicine was because of my own early menopause. And I started out my functional medicine practice as a bioidentical hormone expert. So that's my first foray. And this is why I have had so many years of experience doing that. So I've prescribed every single one of these hormones that you're talking about. And some people really need it and some people really don't. And some people are really over prescribed hormones that really don't need it. and really just need some balancing with it. And that can be done as well.
Yeah. And look at Paula. She's saying her VA doc, she's a veteran. Thank you for your service, Paula. Said, oh, you're 60 now, menopause. No need to check your hormones.
That infuriates me. I have Miss Betty. I have Betty, who's 80 plus years old in our program. And she was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome as an 80 plus year old. I don't remember the exact year. I don't want to add or less, but Betty, you know what I'm talking about. And doctors just write off people after menopause as if we're dead already. Like, what the hell? Like, so, excuse me, I'm a fan of the cursey words. So what I was going to say is that it's important to realize that hormone balance has to occur at every age. Yeah. Just because you're postmenopausal doesn't mean that you shouldn't have any hormones or that your hormones don't need to be balanced. And if your hormones are inappropriate low or out of balance, it will trigger other disease and other symptoms. So it's connected. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. And so don't be dismissed. Fight for your health. Yeah. You have to be the hero to fight for your health and advocate for yourself. You need to test. You need to learn. You need to I just, I want people to connect, make these connections. I want to connect with you. I want you to make these connections. I want to empower you to be the hero of this. Yeah,
for yourself. And you're mentioning, doesn't matter what age or what stage you're at. We're talking a lot about female type problems, but there's a question here from Jeff, 52-year-old man. Can I be having hormone problems too, dealing with things like brain fog and just something feels off?
So and Jill has the same question right here. How many men are in the audience? Type in chat. Or how many of you guys know a man with health symptoms that you know is connected with his hormones? So I have videos around how men are I think women already in general is underserved, especially postmenopausal for hormone balancing, gets dismissed as if we're supposed to have no hormones, which is total, utter BS. But men, there's a huge bias against men for hormone testing. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many times I have so many men go through our programs, and it boggles my mind how many chronic health symptoms in men where their hormones have never been tested and it's totally tied. So think about this. My husband, so I see chronic fatigue in men. I see anxiety, depression, ADD, brain fog, weight gain, I see a lot of these, or I have men tell me all the time, my labs don't know, I just don't feel quite right. Mm-hmm. That's a really common thing because you know what? Men are minimizers. Yeah. And I can tell you, looking at thousands of male hormone results, is that male hormones are a shit show. And it's totally causing what's going on with their health symptoms, 100% linked.
And so many of them just end up getting like a T shot, right? They're getting these shots of testosterone. And
so like a great example is Tyler. I don't know how many of you guys have seen Tyler's videos that I've done with him. I think he was in his late 20s when I first met him with Crohn's, literally dying from this Crohn's. No one had tested his testosterone, which is infuriating to me. I want you to fight for your health, but I'm fighting for your health with your hormone balance here. And I remember discovering during the program that he had the testosterone. He says in an interview, so I'm quoting him, "You told me, Dr. Maggie, that I had the hormones of a 13-year-old. Wow. And he did, right? And during the program, I'm telling you, during the program, he was able to already turn it around. And I remember later on, him laying on the couch at the beginning of the program, and towards like just even 6 or 8 weeks later, he's sitting here like pumping iron while he's on the calls, watching, interacting. I think he was doing it for the ladies, but that's what he was doing. Just letting you guys know. There is so much misunderstanding, underserved, lack of testing, bias, as if a man asking to test his testosterone just wants to body build, or that's the bias we get. No, you don't need to have your testosterone needed. And men feel shame asking for testosterone or their adrenal hormones or any of these things to be tested, because unfortunately, I feel like men only go to ask for this when they have an end stage problem with low testosterone or low adrenals, which is erectile dysfunction. Why are we waiting till we get like a really late symptom, like erectile dysfunction, and then it's this shameful crawl to the doctor to like ask for the drug or the tests or all that? That's the pattern of testing we have men in. I don't like it that we're waiting that late. I really feel like we should be intervening and addressing testing, education, and intervention for men much earlier than we're doing right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like Jeff, he's connecting that. And some of these people who are watching you are so smart. He's connecting his brain fog to
Yeah,
possible hormonal issues. So that's a great example of somebody who also would could be helped with proper hormone testing then.
100%.
Okay.
So I mean, I know we're going to in an hour almost. So I don't want to leave without this. A couple things. Number one is that we are running a Black Friday week special on my hormone masterclass.
Tell us
So
about it. What is it?
there's no code off. It's just you go to myhormonemasterclass.com and it's $300 off enrollment. Where in my hormone masterclass, you're going to get testing, you're going to get educational training and modules by me, yours truly, and there is over a year period of time, regular sessions to troubleshoot and learn and connect with me and other experts live, so that you know exactly what to do. And you're in training and you're working on this and you're learning and you become super powerful with this. So it is a platform that exists nowhere else to actually learn how to master and turn around your hormones and your other health symptoms. So I'm really proud of providing this, what I call experiential learning. You're learning through experience, and there's multiple ways that you're going to experience using your own data and working with me and my team of experts, right? So I love that. So that's my hormone masterclass. And when you enroll in it, you get this week, there's no code in it whatsoever. It's going to end Cyber Monday. And you will be, once you enroll in the program, you'll immediately be sent access to all the training modules, number one. Number two, you'll get access to accurate testing and know exactly when to test your hormones. And then number three, you're going to be accessing our next live session that's going to be coming up, where we get to have a whole week. Every 2 months, we have a whole week of sessions where there's flexible schedule. You can come to as many or as few as you want to actually learn, troubleshoot, play full out with us. So we can actually teach the patterns and troubleshoot and personalize answers and tailor, recommendations based specifically on your results.
Okay. So that's a great deal. Never really been a better time to go ahead. If this is something that you feel like you need, just go ahead and sign up for it now. $300 off starting right now, lasting only until Cyber Monday. So you have to sign up this week to take advantage of that $300 off deal.
That is correct. All right, everybody. So so there's some questions about, can I get my husband in the program, all that. You can email support. I'll have people, there's a frequently asked question on the page, so you can do that. I'll also put our support email in chat for you guys. So if you have any additional questions, you can send it to support, and we're happy to answer any questions with it. But this is a really popular program. And so I'm really excited, actually. It's every year for the last 6 years, we've offered a hormone week where we actually have a surprise with trainings and Q&As, and also a special on the pricing as well. And there are payment options as well. This is the first year where there are payment options as well. So when you go to the page, you can take a look at that. So if you want to break it up into some payments, there's the opportunity to do that.
Really helpful. Do you want to give us a preview of anything else to come? You were saying there was going to be something dropping tomorrow for Black Friday deal. Just stay tuned for it.
At midnight. We're only like a couple hours away from it, but they're gonna kill me if I tell them now.
Okay. Well, you don't have to.
Well, here's what I'm gonna say. Okay, our most popular hormone balancing product is Love Her. Okay, is Love Her. And for any hormone pattern you have or he has, if you just take Love Her 2 a day, it's good for every single hormone pattern.
I'm on it.
So yeah, I'm on it. That's why my bottle is only like my bottle. Seriously. And we talked about a couple of the other products as well. But I'm gonna just say there is a deal coming.
Okay.
On that and others related to those. So make sure you go to our the shop website. You could take a look at that. If you're not already on our email list or a text list, when you go on the website, you could also get notified through text. Every day we're going to be texting these deals right to your phone number. So just go to the website and sign up to receive text notifications. Boom, you're going to find out what they are. But yeah, it's dropping every single day during the 8 days of Black Friday week and Cyber Monday.
Love it. Dr. Maggie, thank you for taking the time to address some of these burning hormone questions, because as you can see, the chat was just lit up with
That was
everybody.
fun. I'm actually curious, like I just hearing about Chris and her case. I'm thinking just out loud, which is, we have so many people that have gone through my hormone masterclass. Would you guys be interested if I could pull together some of the participants that have been in my hormone masterclass to share their experience of what life has been like after it?
Oh, yeah.
What has changed for them? What is the secret sauce? What they did? What were their patterns? If you're interested in my hormone masterclass panel, put panel discussion in chat. Let me see if I could pull together that for you. If there's enough interest in it, I will pull that together for you. Let me know, put panel discussion in chat and keep posted. There will be videos of trainings that I've done all week in our Facebook group and on our social media, just so you know. And this ends Cyber Monday, just so you guys know. And most importantly, everybody, happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving. We're so close now. And, don't during the holidays, the stress can creep up, and you're worried about so many other people oftentimes as well. But this is a good reminder from you, Dr. Maggie, to also focus on yourself. I think I've heard you say before, if you give 10% to yourself that you're giving to everybody else, think how drastically your life can change, and everybody around you's life, their lives can change as well. So it is something to keep in mind.
It's like a visual, and there's a mathematical formula. I actually, we work with the population. When our hormones are in balance, a lot of times it's telling you that your life is out of balance. And frequently, people with hormone imbalances, they are caretakers of everybody else. So this is why they deplete a lot of their hormones, and they're not able to detoxify and break down a lot of their hormones. There's an energetic component here. So really importantly is just think about the math. Add up all the hours in your week that you're doing something for somebody else, right? And if you add up all those hours and you just take 10% of that, and think about that, whatever that number is, and take 10% of that, and that's your time to spend on you. Do you already do that? Do you already do that? And if you don't, there is an imbalance here that's causing your hormones to continue to be out of balance. And over time, when your hormone is out of balance, you're going to see weight is going to go out of balance. You're going to see, other health-related symptoms, IBS, allergies, pain, autoimmunity. All those are going to start to get out of balance as well. They're all intricately linked. So the message is, don't just gift everybody else. Gift yourself the gift of knowledge, education, discernment.
It's a good way to leave us. Thank you for that, Dr. Maggie.
All right, everybody have a wonderful night. Happy Thanksgiving week.
Thanksgiving.
Bye.